And then they tried more and more, and finally I went on the board. I started to read about the Statue of Liberty, and I heard about her story, which I didn't know, that it's actually the people of France who raised the money for her, not the government, the people. And then they brought her to America, and then there nobody wanted to pay for the pedestal, and it's the people of with Apple, and 500 million people will go to the museum.
You've done a lot in your life. You've just made a film, you've done filmmaking, but you've also written a lot of books. And I read that you wrote a book on beds, another one on bathrooms, or the bath.
The table.
And the table. Why those topics or subjects?
That was during a time that I had sold my company, because the bed, the table, and the bath, these are rituals. You know, we all do the same things, but how we do it makes us different. And people don't think about the bed, and they throw themselves in the bed. The bed is sacred. You were conceived in bed, you born in bed, you die in bed. So I wanted to do a book on bed, and then the table is the same thing. I love rituals.
And you gave me your book that you wrote recently on becoming the woman you want to be. And you talk a lot about your relationship with your late mother, and that fear was not an option. Can you say a bit more about that?
Well, my mother was a prisoner during the war. She was deported in Nazi Germany. She was in a labor camp, but she didn't die. When she survived, when the American came, she was liberated, she weighed 29 kilos. She could barely move, but she had to fill the questionnaire. And actually, I found that questionnaire. She wrote her name, where she came from, which was Belgium, and then they say state of health. And even though she could not move and she weighed 29 kilos, she wrote excellent health. And so my mother taught me that no matter what, you can never be a victim, that fear is not an option, and that was the best gift anyone can give me.
I have one more question, and then I'm going to open it to the audience about you've been very involved the last 2 days with the Fashion Trust Arabia. Can you tell us a bit more of what you've seen and what you would advise future creators?
Well, it was first of all, when Tanya started to talk about it and invite me to it, I was, I say, oh, all right, like that. And finally, I decided to come, and you also convinced me to come, and I'm so happy I came. And yesterday we spent 6 hours on the jury, and it was a very prestigious, jury. And I'm very happy with the people who won, because both of them, of the big awards, both of them use the craft of their region, one in embroidery, and the other one in Morocco. She makes the shoes. So actually I invited them both to come and do an event in my store in New York.
Great, thank you. So we'll open the floor to questions.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon, Sheikha. I love your work. I'm an absolutely fan of you and your work. And Diane, I'm just so grateful to be here and to listen to you. Some years ago, I had a talk with Sheikha, and she asked me who was my favorite designer, and I told her Diane von Furstenberg, so this is kind of surreal for me. Thank you. Diane, I just would like to ask you, what would you tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self? I would tell my younger self probably that she should have done she should do a business plan. I don't know that I would have listened to her, but anyway. You know, I was very lucky because for some reason very early on, I became very good friends with myself. And the one advice that I give anyone, any age, man, woman, anybody, doesn't matter what, the most important thing in life is the relationship you have with yourself. Because once you have that, any other relationship is a plus and not a must. And also because character is the only thing that you have 100% power on. You could lose your health, your wealth, your family, you could lose your freedom, but you never lose your character, even under torture. And then what is really the character? Well, the character is that relationship you have with yourself, is the shelter that you create inside yourself, that gives you the strength, that helps you, that is with you when you're in pain, when you're in doubt. Now, it's hard. It's every day is, you know, it's like plumbing or pruning trees. It requires daily discipline, but the character is
back over there.
what a beautiful theater.
Hello, here. It's funny that you brought business plan now, because I wanted to ask you how important is business plan in the beginning. And of course, you know that most designers have the skill of the creative part, but some of them may lack the business part. So how important is this part for the designer? What advice should you give to them regarding approaching the business side of their business?
All right, so first of all, if you want to be a designer or if you want to be anything, the most important thing is be authentic and to be true to what you believe, okay? And because that's what it is. Now, if you are I had three moments, you know, so I started very young with one product that everybody thinks I made the wrap dress, but really the wrap dress made me, you know, and it went very fast, and I had a big company, and I was young, and I wasn't equipped, and it was hard, and but it was great. And then whatever, I made all kinds of things. Then I sold it. The people that I sold it destroyed it. 20 years ago, I started again. I built it again. And then the problem is when you are an entrepreneur, you are so good at doing things when you do it all yourself. But you can't do it all yourself. You need people. And for an entrepreneur, that sometimes is hard, you know? And sometimes you entrust people who want to change it or don't understand it or wants to bring it one way or want to be cool. It's not cool to want to be cool, you know? So now I'm starting my third generation of my company. I have a woman who is a CEO, And she gets it. She understands that what is important for me is to give women the tools for them to be comfortable and easy and elegant. But my goal is to be the friend in the closet. You know, when you get dressed, okay, I go to that friend. I can rely on her, you know? So anyway, so all this to tell you that it's not like, oh, I made it, and then you sit on it. It doesn't happen like that. When you have a big success, then when sometimes people think you're very successful, you know yourself you're not, because you know that there are problems. And also sometimes people think, oh, she's a has-been. And you know that's not true either, because you know where you're going. So, to answer your question, first of all, follow your heart. Make sure that you are authentic, and try to find the best help.
So it's not cool to be cool. I like that. Please, a man to ask a question.
It's great to be facing both of you. It's an honor that we have two princesses over here. And you two amazing ladies have a lot of things in common. One is, of course, art, and then filmmaking, which both of you are related to, and then philanthropy. And Her Excellency Sheikha Al Mayassa has Rota. And I would like you to explain a little bit about the philanthropy you did, especially about voices.
About?
Voices,
Oh, vital voices.
Vital voices.
I thought you said horses. No.
As long as you didn't hear it as voices, it's okay.
Yeah, all right. So, you know, philanthropy, when you grow up, could be a little intimidating. I mean, because like philanthropy for me meant like, for some reason, women who do volunteer in hospital. Right? That's not me, you know. So it's intimidating, you know. At first, if you want to be authentic, it's like landscaping, you know. Landscaping, oh, you feel you need an expert to tell you what tree to plant and what tree to come down. But then after a while, you start planting, and you say, oh, I can do that. Philanthropy is a little bit like that. When I first met the people from Vital Voices, which is an organization that was created by Hillary Clinton when she was First Lady, and she went to Beijing. There was the first Global Women's Forum, Women's Leader Forum. From all over the world they came. And they were, when you say leader, some were big leaders, but a lot were small leaders, you know. And apparently there was such an energy that came out of that. When they left and they went back to America, she turned to her chief of staff, Melanne Vernier, and she said, we have to do something about this. We have to maintain this. And so that's when they created Vital Voices, which is a network for women's leaders. And then it stopped. At first it was governmental, and now it's independent. And when I met them, oh, it's a long time ago, because I've been on the board for over 10 years, a long time ago. And it resonated to me, because it was helping women who already have taken power in their own micro or less micro ways, and forming this network and this support. So and I knew that women empowerment has always been my thing. I was young in the 70s when we had feminism, when we had Gloria Steinem, when we had all these things. I became independent at that time. I became independent because of a dress. So because it was a dress, I was, you know, the more confident I would be, the more I would sell my confidence to other women. So to help women and to give women confidence and encouragement is my mission. First I did it with the work, and my company will continue to do it with the work. But me now, as an older woman, that's what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. I want to use my voice, my knowledge, my experience, my connections in order to make women more confident. All women are strong. I have never met a woman who is not strong, but very often they hide it, whether it's a brother, a father, a religion, but mostly it's even themselves, you know. They don't want to show their strength because they want, but so that's my thing. I mean, I could do nothing for the rest of my life but talking to women, and I don't do much, you know, except putting a mirror in front of them, because that strength is inside every woman.
Thank you.
Maybe the lady in the green back. Sorry.
Sorry. First of all, I'd like to thank Sheikha Al Mayassa for adding this beautiful value on the cornice. And it's so a pleasure driving on the cornice, see the new museum and the design. I think all of us, we are so happy to join daily.
Absolutely.
All the beautiful designs. So, shukran. One question for Diana. Where is your inspiration coming from? After all those years, you need silence, or where it's coming from? Where's your source of inspiration?
Life. I mean, a source of inspiration. I mean, I have been so inspired by my 3-4 days here. You know, the desert and the architecture and the warmth and the, oh, I'm inspired by everything, everything. I tell you what I'm not inspired by is small talk. And I don't like small talk. I like real conversation, even with people you don't know very much. You know, I'm inspired by women. I'm inspired by nature. I'm inspired by heart and love. You know, we live in a very, very strange moment right now, because the world is, so there's so much with artificial intelligence and so much that many people question themselves, because the human race, I mean, the robots are becoming smarter than we are. And, you know, so, but as actually, I think that this is a time where humans have to be more human, because it's humanity, our humanity, that will save humanity. And this is why this museum that I saw here, the museum that they opened 2 days ago, really reached my heart, because the manpower of building this incredible construction, of visualizing it, of building it technically, you know, all of that, to build this incredible thing, to honor the desert, to honor life, the little life of the little flower that comes up, of the little birds. I mean, I found this museum completely uplifting, unbelievably relevant to our time, and I mean, to honor a piece of desert and to build something like, I find that extraordinary. So I'm going to be the biggest promoter of what you did.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I mean it. It's
No, I mean, thank you. I mean, I have to say this. I remember, given how much you've done already and the success that you've reached in your life, I remember attending a film screening in New York, and I was walking alone, and you were walking alone, and I said, Diane, what are you doing here? And you said to me, oh, I'm just here to support some young women filmmakers. And I was really touched by that, because somebody like you still remains true to everybody who you want to support. You know, you don't create a certain criteria or level on people who you want to support, but you're very open and easy to approach. And I was really impressed by the fact that you're there walking alone, going to see some filmmakers that you've supported. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was during the Tribeca Film Festival in New York many years ago, maybe 10 years ago or 8 years ago. By that too.
I believe it's, I mean, to give exposure, I mean, you know, when you are successful or when you are in a position of power, you have a voice. And that voice is a privilege, but it's also a duty. You know, it's a duty to use your voice for people who have no voice or connect people with a voice. So it's, you know, I'm 72 years old, and I'm very proud of talking about my age because I know people don't do that. But when you get older,
you don't look 72, by the way, I have to say that.
When you get older, it's such an amazing thing because you have so much knowledge just because you've lived these years. And it is true that I lived very fully, so I probably should be 140. And to share that and to share the experience, that's a gift for me.
The front. Oh, I think.
No, but they will find you.
Thank you both very much. I'm going to try to make my question as straightforward as possible. But I think a lot, especially hearing two incredible women speak, like it makes me think about how little of our environment is designed or responsive to women, to women's bodies, to the way they change. And as someone who's been in fashion for a very long time, I think the wrap dress is iconic of how you can create something that molds to you rather than you constantly having to be concerned about molding to it. Like it's almost a status symbol that your face doesn't change or your size doesn't change, and our bodies are constantly, as women, constantly in flux. Like not decay, which I think we can argue that men's bodies are in decay, but women's bodies are constantly in the cycle of production or reproduction or evolution, and I think that so little of the world is responsive to that or respectful of that. So even recently, NASA planned a spacewalk with women. It was meant to be all women, and they realized they had only 2 medium-sized spacesuits, so they canceled it because they're like, we can't send 4 women out because, you know, only 2 of them fit the mold that we created. And so much of the world around us is designed that way, and I think especially in art and fashion, it's the most visible. But what's your advice for someone who's managed to create an environment that does respond to women and does honor women? I don't know if there's a question in there, if it's a comment.
But in any case, I promise you that that is really, even in my company, now I have a new management and a new direction, and that is really the mission, is to honor women and to enhance women. And the truth of the matter is that this is a very important, the 21st century is a very important moment for women. And each one in our own way have to take the power in our hands if we want to save humanity. But we can do it. I won't be here, but we can do it.
Back over there.
Hi, good afternoon. Whoa. Good afternoon. I had a question for both of you, actually. I wanted to know the secret of your longevity in a cutthroat industry such as fashion as a woman. And to you, I wanted to know what advice could you give to women in business, to empower women in business in Qatar?
Yours first.
I'm not in business at all, but I think Qatar is experiencing a quick growth in all industries. So I think for women, it's really important to go out there and try to explain what ideas you may have. I think it's the possibilities at the moment here, especially in Qatar, are enormous. And I know in the creative industry with the museums and the filmmaking, we're really trying to support and facilitate these opportunities, but then it also comes down to the individuals. As Diane was saying earlier, you need to also persevere and continue. And I think we always say that to artists, you're as good as your last show. So just because you experience a moment of success, it doesn't end there, and you can't just sit back and relax. You have to continue and set the bar higher for the next project. So I think you need to go out there, find the right people to help you, and if you continue, you'll find it.
Sheikha Mayassa is quite extraordinary because she's very, very strong and very committed and very aware and yet also very respectful of your country. I remember you gave, the first time we had lunch, you gave me this book. And so it's the strength. I mean, there's the strength in you, and now that I met your mother, I mean, there's a strength that is so real, and at the same time, it's graceful. At the same time, it's warm. And I think that's, I think that's the secret that women have, is that we are strong, but we are also respectful of life because we give life. And I think it's actually quite nice to be a woman.
Asa? Pass the mic.
Right, so my question really is to do with the industry as well as designers in general, and how we've sort of seen over the past couple of years that they've embraced this region. And in your opinion, what caused that transformation? Historically, we've had to adapt to sort of this Western idea of what's fashion or what's cool. And now we've seen that there's sort of been a change, and there's a sort of a very visible change as well, even for us when we want to dress, because I can just dress off the rack and not have to like change it 100 times for it to suit where I am. So what, in your opinion, caused that?
Well, first of all, I think because the region was becoming wealthier, and therefore there was a big market that opened. I think that was originally, but it was very interesting, because I had to pack for my 4 days here, and I had most fun. Because I always say that I have my best design ideas when I pack, which by the way is every 3 days, but because that's when you think, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and to pack for knowing that I had to be covered, and it was very interesting, and it was extremely inspiring. And what you discover when you come to the Middle East is that, I remember the first time I had a talk in Dubai, in a university, and there were 500, and everybody was in abayat. At first I was so intimidated, and I thought they all looked the same. But after 2 minutes, I saw that wasn't the truth at all. I saw all the details and everything. And what for me, for example, body language is so important, right? When I work with young designers, I always say, study the body language. But the body language and the grace, you could see them when you're covered too. So there is a mystery and a strength in Middle Eastern women that should really be an example for all women. And I really mean that.
We'll do, I think, 2 more questions, because I know that Diane she has another appointment, so we'll have...
I'll make this quick. To start with, it's a privilege to be in presence of 2 very inspiring, and I emphasize on the word women. The other day, 3 days ago at VCU, you said something that really kind of awoke something in me. You asked literally two questions. Well, there were one, but the first one was towards the very end, you said how many of the people out here sitting in the audience wanted to or aspired to be fashion designers. We had maybe 20 plus hands, and then you asked how many think you'll make it. Had like 5 hands that raised. To me, that was like a teensy wake-up. Like, are you putting in the work? Do you really feel, other than what you think is glamorous? So my question to you is, we all have, we all hit rock bottom. We all kind of have moments that, wake-up calls, if I may. What would you say is the strongest wake-up call you've had from?
My God, I have them every day. I mean, that's the thing, I mean, I'm super confident and I came out, my family came out great and I have a lot of things. That doesn't mean that very often I wake up in the morning and I feel like a loser, And then I wake up and, I mean, do I feel completely like a loser? No. But, so it's again, it goes back to the relationship you have with yourself. And it goes back to questioning yourself, not being delusional, being disciplined, being hard on yourself, but also being kind to yourself. And live your dream, Look at this country. Look at what they did. I mean, you can make dreams happen, but you just have to dare to dream.
Last question. Diane, I'll let you choose.
Oh.
There's like
yellow one right here in front of me.
Right in front of you.
Talking about women's role, what would you suggest, or what would be your advice to women and mothers in particular, bringing up the next generation on how they can raise girls who can have a good relationship with themselves?
Well, actually, strangely enough, I think it's more of a we have to pay a little bit more attention to how we raise boys. Because I'm not worried about girls. And
so then the question becomes, how do we guide mothers on the best way to raise boys?
Okay, well, my son is now 49, so I can relax, almost. I think the most important when you raise children is, one, never lie to them. Never lie. 2, try to make them independent. Make them responsible for themselves. Make them understand that they are in charge of their own destiny. And whatever they do, that's, they drive the car. For boys, boys are so sweet, It's to make them strong, protective, that they should protect. I mean, I used to tell my son always, because we were a family of a lot of women, you protect us, you're the man of the house. And even though we lived in an apartment, I would make him go and check the door. And he became that, he is the head of the family. He became that, So I think honesty, and don't treat them as human beings, and don't patronize them, and I don't know. And then, of course, when they're teenagers, you think they don't listen to you, and you're completely desperate. And then years go by, and then they start to have children, and then they repeat the same thing that you heard them say, the same thing that you said to them, and then you realize, ooh, I had a lot more power than I thought I did. And in a sense, maybe it's just as well that I didn't know, because I would have abused them.
Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you for your time and your wisdom and knowledge, and thank you, everyone. No, thank you.